Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hold On to Dawn podcast. I'm your host, Erin, and today I have a special guest. She was the host of not one benefit concert, but two, our Orlando and our Philadelphia concert. Here is Breanna. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I just got home from Massachusetts, so I'm a little tired. One of my friends got married last night, but I didn't stay out too late, so it's fine. I'm well
That's
rested.
all
I'm
good.
good.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk to you and have you on the podcast finally. I don't know why we didn't do this sooner, but yay, here we
Yeah,
are.
I'm excited too.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about was how you just graduated last month. So you graduated or you studied at the University of Florida,
South Florida.
South Florida. Okay, sorry. I knew that. Why did my notes not filter that in? Yes, the University of South Florida.
I was in the graduate program, but then I got my
Okay.
master's degree from there. So,
Okay. But you did like some kind of graduation last year, right? Or no?
yeah, so a year ago I got my bachelor's of social work, and then they
Oh,
had a
okay.
training program, so then it's like only a year to get your master's. So now I just got the
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So, and I was stalking your Instagram and found out all this stuff about you. So, you became the president of the USF Social Work Society. So, can you tell the listeners a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah, so I found out about it just kind of clicking around for things to do at USF. And so when I went to become the president, it was more so I wanted to be involved in USF, but I also wanted to be able to literally take my passion for mental health and of course social work and bring it to campus. So when I became president, it was the typical stuff like hosting meetings and things, but I actually was able to implement a self-care space at USF, which is the first of its kind. And it's literally a physical space and it's in our social work unit, but it's like the behavioral health college where you can go and just there's like all kinds of things. So there's like a massage chair, some like coloring pages, opportunities for you to just like read something. There's like some people leave like friendship bracelets or stickers. Anything you can really think of with self-care and just giving you a space, like the lights are kind of turned dim, so you could do like yoga. You could literally take a nap over there if you need to. So, just a space to calm down amidst just school and life and everyone's life things that we have going on. So that was probably the most impactful thing that I was able to do, as the president. And then from there, I became the mental health liaison the following academic year and
Wow.
just kind of carried that calm space. It was called a calm space, and carried that the next year to like keep up with that and new ideas too.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's so cool. I wish when I was in college, I was like a hot mess and I struggled a lot with my mental health. So I wish it's so inspiring to hear that you made such an impact in your school with mental health and you created that calm space. That is just like, that's so cool. And I wish that I could have done something similar with my school, but I was not in that headspace. So it's amazing that you were in your that headspace. Meanwhile, like going to college and living like some of the most stressful years of life. So kudos to you. That's so cool.
Thank you.
And you, well, from what I read on your Instagram, you changed your major midway through school. So what influenced that decision?
So back in high school, I found psychology. I was like, this is so interesting. I love understanding why people do what we do and just all of that realm. At the time, which sounds so weird, but we had this thing, it was a sociology class, and it was literally called Serial Killer Week. And we learned about independently, we learned about
Wow.
like the most notorious serial killers, and it was my first time ever being exposed to like something like that. And I don't remember the questions anymore, but it was basically like looking into the similarities of like, did they all have this type of victim? Did they all have this type of family and things like that? And I was like, wait, that's so cool because there were a lot of similarities. And then that's when I discovered psychology. So when I knew I wanted to do something with psychology, I was a psych major, and then I wanted to do psychiatry because I knew I wanted to like do therapy and also like research psychology. So then I went to school, but I went to community college, so I went to Santa Fe College in Gainesville, and I was in math programs or math classes that I think it was called elementary statistics. I literally had like a 30% and my advisor was like, "Hey, it's looking kind of bleak." Obviously shouldn't say it like that, but they kind of talked to me about it and I was like, "Yeah, I'm really struggling." So I withdrew and then the following semester I took the class again and it was literally the same thing. I had a 30% and I was like, "This is not gonna
Wow.
cut it." So I met with my advisor and she was like, maybe if your dream is to do therapy and have like your own therapy office, maybe you could do instead of psychology, you could do social work. And at the time, I had heard of it, but I like basically knew nothing about it. And I was like, I don't want to do social work. What the heck is that? And so she was like, well, it doesn't require any math because psychology, at least where I was looking to go, required trigonometry and calculus, and I
Oh,
couldn't even obviously
wow.
do the basic stuff. So I was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. So I was like, whatever, I can always switch it, I guess, if it's not for me. So that's how I switched to social work. And then I got my associates, which was unrelated to like social work. And then when I got into the bachelor's program, it was as I grew and learned, especially in the master's program, it's definitely a way better fit for me. So it's been really nice to see like it's not what I thought that it was and what a lot of people think that it is too. It's a lot more broad and you can accomplish like that same goal. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, one of my best friends is a social worker, so I don't know like too much in detail about, do you know exactly like what the difference is between social work and a psychologist or a psychiatrist? Well, I guess psychiatry, they deal with medication as well as the mental health part. Psychology is just the mental health part, but difference between a social worker and a psychologist.
I would say what I've noticed because there are some degrees like mental health counseling or like marriage and family counseling. So there are some like specializations. I would say that social work is more of looking at the person as a whole. So a lot of times, like when you go to a psychologist or even a psychiatrist or marriage and family counselor, they're looking at that specific thing. So they're looking at like, oh, you're depressed or oh, you're having issues with your marriage or something like that. Whereas social work is like, okay, but do you have food in your home? Like, where are you living? Is it a stable environment? How's your income? Like, are you able to pay your bills? Like, do you need help with that? So it's kind of looking at all around your biological. So maybe like growing up, maybe you have autism and how does that impact your life or what you're doing, or your parents, maybe they're in a wheelchair, like how does that impact your life? And then psychological, which of course is like diagnoses and things like that with mental health, and then social aspects as well. So like maybe you grew up in a low income neighborhood and how did that impact your access to education, or something of that nature. So it's like biopsychosocial information,
Okay.
whereas I think psychological, of course, is just looking at
The one angle.
psychological things instead of all the other things.
Okay, that makes sense, and that's really interesting. So social work is kind of more rounded, while psychology is just looking at it from one angle.
Yeah.
And I think you posted that you got a job already, which is like amazing. Congrats on that. So are you doing social work?
Yeah, so my job right now is more, it's not clinical based, so it is more of the social work base. And it's in St. Pete, and it's answering crisis calls in the community. So, it's actually, I believe they told me it's either one, like the only one, or one of two, programs either in the state or the country. I can't think of it right now, but basically it's like one of its kind, of a
Wow.
program where it's like this whole unit of basically social workers that will go to a crisis call. So say like, um, yesterday we went to like a domestic violence call, where like the daughter didn't want to be at home and the dad didn't have custody, XYZ, but basically, um, everyone wasn't getting along and everyone was frustrated with each other. And the daughter was like, I don't want to go with my mom. And, I'm getting like abused and all of these things. And so the police come, of course, for that kind of a call. But then what our team does is we go to the call. And yesterday we went to the call and we were kind of like, okay, well, what do you mean? Like, who's abusing you and what's going on, and if you went with dad, like how would that be better? And um it's there's only so much that you can do because there's of course the legal aspect of things, but just kind of we were able to get everybody on the same page of where the daughter could be for the night and then provide her a resource of where she could stay. There was like a place locally that kids can stay for a couple days just to kind of in a situation like this, like take a
Hmm.
breather from their parent or their living situation for a second. um, so that's kind of what we do. It's like providing resources. We also help like homeless either find like a shelter, or we give them gift cards sometimes so they can buy food, and just at least help them a little bit get on their feet. So things like that.
Wow, that's really cool and interesting. I never thought about like that aspect because I'm so do they call the crisis center first or do they call the police first? You guys call the police.
It can be either way. So they have like a 24-hour line for our unit, but then most people call the police. And then the police, if they feel like it's more of our range versus their
Uh-huh.
range, they'll call us and send us out there. But people could call directly. Like a lot of times when people call multiple times, we're like, just call us directly. Because the whole point of creating the unit was because police respond to calls and either A, they don't know how to handle it. They don't know
Hmm.
like if
Yeah.
someone's suicidal, they don't really know like what to say or what to do. Or B, sometimes people call and it's just like not necessary for police to be there. They could go
Yeah.
like do something else that's a little more important, for lack of better wording. Um, so it's like having us come and help someone out versus them being like, I don't really know how to help you, ma'am. So
Yeah. Because they mostly know how to just deal with the legal stuff of things, not like the mental health part.
exactly, yeah.
So, on a totally different topic, starting to talk about the benefit concerts. Meeting you in Orlando was, well, I mean, we kind of met like via Zoom beforehand, but like meeting you in person in Orlando was really fun, and having you host the show was amazing. Like with your studying in mental health and dealing with mental health struggles yourself and being an MKTO fan. So I want to hear in your words what the Orlando show was like for you.
Oh man. It was a lot. So I grew up doing theater, so I've always loved being on stage. So that specific aspect was cool because it wasn't theater, of course, but it was like being on a stage again and like feeling the lights and having a little crowd. I was like, oh wow. So it's like rejuvenating it away just in that regard. But MKTO, as I kind of said too when I was hosting, they were a band that I listened to when I was suicidal and when I was going through mental health struggles. And so it was so crazy. Like when I walked in the room, I remember them walking in and I was like, that's crazy. Like that's literally them. And they were so nice and they were so cool too. So it was cool to just be there and to like realize that I'm so much older now and like I'm literally in a room with them and 14-year-old me would have like passed away. So that was cool. And then ultimately, of course, like just being able to have just a second, even literally just like the 2 minutes that I spoke to kind of brief myself and what it meant to me as far as just like being in school. Because in January, I was still in the program and like working towards doing therapy, helping the community, but also meeting the band and just tying everything together. It was so cool. And then more things were felt. Like I connected with so many people in the audience that were so sweet and welcoming. And then meeting you as a person, I was like, you're super cool and nice and welcoming. So I was just like, this is so awesome. And then my mom was also there and she was welcomed and she was really excited. So it was like a lot of things put together, but it meant a lot to just have all of that happen, but also to have like a moment where I could kind of be like, hey, this is who I am, because you guys don't know who I am, but this is, maybe a little bit of what I've been through. So it was cool.
Yeah, and I feel like everybody connected with you. Everybody in the audience, the guys like all loved you. So It was really awesome. And then having you back in Philly was like, it wouldn't have been complete without you. Like the whole gang was back together again. So, how was Philly different than Orlando for you?
So I've never traveled before.
Ever?
No. So
Oh
last
my
year, a
God.
year ago, I did go to Cleveland for the weekend, but it was actually for a funeral. So
Oh,
it's a different type of experience. But other than that, no, I've like never been anywhere. So when I saw that you guys were doing another show in Philly, I talked to my mom and my mom was like, you could do this one, maybe. And I was like, okay, I'll reach out. So when we started planning the trip and when we went, it was cool because of the traveling, of course, but
mhm,
also I was like, I kind of feel like like you kind of just said with them, like the crowd connecting with me and everything, like I felt like I was a part of something in like a good way. Like I was like, oh, I feel like I made all these jokes with my mom about like the plane landing and I was like, just landed in Philly. Like a celebrity. And I was just like, it was really cool to be able to bring because Orlando was local to me. And so to be able to like bring myself to Philly and potentially talk to people that are from there and
mhm.
again, like spread that whole message and see how that is moving around America, like it was just really cool. Um, but definitely seeing the city was cool too. That was really fun. Very tiring. But
Yeah, yeah, Philly is huge. Andy and Nikki and Skylar and I went out into the city like Sunday. We went to like Love Park and then we walked all the way to the art museum and then we walked all the way to the Eastern State Penitentiary and then we walked all the way back to our cars. So that was like, I don't know, 6 miles or something we weren't really expecting. And I
yeah.
did not bring comfortable shoes. So I was like wearing my mom's flip-flops because I had blisters so bad from the shoes I wore at the concert because I had a pair in mind, but I think I threw them away when I was cleaning out my car. I threw a bag of what I thought was junk into the trash, but I'm like, I don't know where else my shoes went because I tore apart my condo and I didn't find them. So that was sad. So at the last minute, I wore these shoes that are cute but not comfortable and they gave me blisters. So long story short, find your outfit the day before the show, not 5 minutes before you leave.
That's a helpful tip. Unfortunately, I never do that, but I brought like three shirts and I was like, this is all I got. So
Yeah.
I just
Well,
picked
that's
it.
how I was in Orlando. I still have my packing list from Orlando on my dresser. I don't know why, but yeah. Print aquarium and Bake It by Angie gift card, guest list and schedule, raffle basket sign, charge AirPods, portable charger, bring the lanyards, pack jeans, leggings, shirt, like 40 rubber bands.
Oh
Like
yeah,
all
that was for the posters.
yeah, like all this
40.
random
Let
stuff
us
that
have
I
40.
like this was Orlando was the first time I traveled super far. Well, yeah, the first time I like flew on a plane to bring a concert because last time I traveled before that was Boston, but it was just in the car, so I like could fit everything in my car. So this time like having to bring it on a plane, I was so stressed I was gonna forget something.
Oh yeah.
So this was a little bit less stressful in a way that I could just bring it all in my car, although I had so much stuff. But yeah, it worked out fine and I survived and yeah.
That's good.
And I really thought that this was going to be the least stressful show because like it's my fourth one and it was like all the same guys and you and it was actually probably my most stressful. Um I don't know why. I maybe I was like holding it at a higher standard, or I did put a little bit more pressure on myself with there was way more stuff in the raffle baskets. There were more extras this time, like the VIP party, and then the first like 20 people that got general admission tickets got posters. Like, why did I do that to myself? The first 10 people that got the breaking free VIP got a present. Like, I should have never done that. It just like made it more complicated. I wanted to like incentivize people to buy tickets, but
Yeah.
that made it more stressful. and then just like a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But um yeah, but it was, it was fun and everyone had a good time, so it did its job.
That's good. I think everyone was excited. And it was cool too. Like a lot of the people were the same people from Orlando. Like I was in the
Yeah.
and these girls were like all excited in the stalls next to me. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And I like go out and wash my hands and they're like, you were the host from Orlando. And I was like, oh my God, hey. Yeah, that's me. But they were really sweet. So it was cool. And like the same, a lot of the same people were there, especially the ones that did like the VIP party too. So I was like, that's cool to
Yeah.
see people kind of supporting each show and
Hmm.
being there and meeting each other too.
Yeah, I think a lot of them liked MKTO and Drew and Johnny, of course. But two, I don't know if you know, two of the girls that came all the way from Germany just
Yeah.
for the show. That like blew my mind. I don't even know how they heard about it. Like I assume they came from for MKTO, so I assume they saw it on their Instagram, but I'm like, "Oh my God, you came all the way to Germany for my show." Like I'm honored. Like that was really
Oh,
exciting and
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, I did hear that. I think I met one of them. I'm pretty sure. So that was crazy.
Yeah, that was I never in a million years like saw that coming, but that was really cool. Changing the subject again. When you are going through a difficult time, what is something you like to do to help yourself get through it?
That's a good question. I think maladaptively, a common thing for me is like isolation, but I've learned to take that and make it more of a positive coping skill. So nowadays, I like to take just a step back and take things slower. A lot of my life, I struggled with anxiety and like social anxiety and just like always being in a rush and stressed about what's to come next. And so nowadays, I tell myself a lot like, things are going to happen, right? So, like a traffic, for example, like if you hit traffic, there's nothing that you can do about that. And so instead of sitting there and getting super nervous, upset, yelling, crying, whatever it makes you feel, you just tell yourself, like, you're going to be in traffic. You're going to be a little late, maybe, but there's literally nothing you could do about it. So, why are you going to sit here and blame yourself and get mad at this guy next to you and all these things? Like, it's inevitable that things are going to happen. So taking things step by step, and I never used to do that, and just kind of taking a breath and having patience with myself too, which I also never used to do, and trying to just go slow and breathe, and life happens, and just figure it out as you go.
Yeah, that's good advice. And taking a step back is something I like to do too. And also, I have no patience and it's like really bad. Um, but a thing I've been doing for like a couple years now is if there's something that's happening and I'm like, oh, like starting to freak out, I start at 10 and I count down to one and I'm like, hopefully it'll be over by one. Like it should be over by one. I'm trying to think of an example of like when I would do this. Um, I feel like maybe if, oh, like if my laptop freezes, if like a show I'm streaming freezes, I feel like driving, I do it a lot too. Like it might be someone slow in front of me, like not going through a stoplight, like it's green and they're just sitting there. Um, So yeah, it's can't and I never usually get all the way to one. I think it's happened like only a couple times. So like usually it just takes like a couple seconds, but it I don't really know why I do it. I guess to like give myself a minute and be like, you can handle the next 10 seconds, like calm down and just like a reminder of like everything's gonna be okay. And I don't even like think about it. I just do it. It just like naturally happens. I'm just like 10, 9. I did it once in front of my mom and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "This is how I pace myself to not go insane."
Yeah, no, that's a good one. There's also like boxed breathing where you breathe in for 7 seconds, hold it for four, breathe out for four, and then hold again for four, I think. And that's kind of the same sort of principle. And then in the moment, like you don't even realize it, like just three of those and you're like already calmer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's one, I always say it wrong, but it's like using your five senses. So it's like
Oh,
five you
yes.
can see, four you can feel, and so on and so forth. I always say the wrong order, but that
Yeah,
one's helpful too. It's like
someone
grounding.
was explaining that to me too. Okay, so five things you can see, four things you can.
Never know the order. I
Okay,
think some
I'm
things
gonna
you
look
can
it up
taste.
because we gotta let the people know. Okay, we got five things you can see, four things you can touch, three things you can hear, two things you can smell, and one thing you can taste.
Okay.
They only
Yeah.
want you to eat one thing.
Like gum or something. That's an easy one.
Two things you can smell. That's probably the hardest one. Like, what if you can't smell anything? I can't smell anything right now.
Especially when
Nothing.
you're sick and you're like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I've tried
The other
that.
one's
I feel like what helps me the most when I'm having a panic attack, we're really like getting deep now. We went from like having a hard time to having a panic attack. Um,
that's valid. I used to have those a lot.
the last time I was having a panic attack was the last time I was on an airplane, I think, when I was flying home from the Bahamas, and the turbulence was, we literally had like such a smooth flight until we were descending and I was like, oh, like actually we're gonna die. And then I was just like, okay, what's the worst case thing that can happen right now? And I was telling Tony this too because we both have like flying anxiety. And I was like, okay, worst case, this plane hits and you die like instantly. And like, that's not that bad. You won't suffer. Like, it'll just happen. Everybody on this airplane is doing it with you. So I think one of my coping mechanisms is thinking of like worst case scenario
Hmm.
and like really what's the worst part of this? And have you handled something like this before? Do you think you can handle it now? And then thinking of like the next step, like what I can do after this is over to move on.
That literal same exact thing happened to me too. I think it was on the way to Philly. Same thing. It was smooth, and then the descent. I was like, we're literally falling
Yeah.
from. Like it was as severe as it could be. I was like, we're literally falling for the sky, and literally verbatim, I was like, worst case scenario, we do fall for the sky, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, I won't know because I'll be dead.
Right.
It was literally the same thing. Literally the same thing. And then we landed. Obviously, I'm alive. And then the turbulence on the way home was rough too, the whole flight. But it wasn't like it was turbulence, but it wasn't like terrifying turbulence. On the way there was terrifying. It was so scary. But
It must have
yeah.
been the weather because you flew in Friday, right? Yeah,
Afternoon. Yeah.
cause Tony did too, and he was like, that was the worst turbulence like I've ever been on. And I feel like there was something with the weather. I know that earlier in the day we had a tornado warning, so there could
Mhm.
have been like wind in the area, maybe that didn't
Yeah, I
happen.
remember there was like when everyone turned their phone back on, that was scary too. They were
Oh
all
yeah, the
like
alert went
alert
off.
beep, and my mom was like, someone had their phone on in the air. And my mom was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's fine. No, it's fine." That was so
That would
scary.
have freaked me
What
out
is that?
too.
It was so scary.
Oh, jeez. I never used to have flying anxiety, but then like over the last couple of years, I think my anxiety has just like increased, and so the flying anxiety has for sure gotten worse. What is your favorite genre of music, and what is your current favorite song?
Well, that has fluctuated over the years. So as of the past like few years, I've gotten really into country music. So I would probably say that. I would probably say country. It's always been pop, but I would say it's more country now. Um, and my favorite artist is Morgan Wallen. So literally anything from him, and he just released an album. He released it when we were in Philly, and I couldn't really
Oh,
listen
wow.
to it. Like I didn't have the time. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
Now that I've listened to it, there's a lot of good ones on there. My favorite song. Let me check my liked songs and see what I've got here. There's a song from Morgan Wallen. It's just all Morgan Wallen in this list. Called I Got Better. I would say that one might be one of my favorites right now. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I also liked Talkin' Tennessee, which is like an older song of his. But then the album came out, so now that's like all I've been listening to.
Okay. I've listened to a couple of his songs, but not too many. There's one of my little kids in one of my dance classes that is always talking about him, and I'm like, "You're five. Like, what do you mean?" Because I feel like Morgan Wallen is like a an older like not older, but like not a child.
Yeah, no, that's young. That's
Yeah.
very young, but maybe their mom or dad or someone, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
probably. Uh, Speaking of music, what is your favorite concert you've ever been to?
I haven't been to as many concerts as I wish I've been to. So like there's the same three artists that I always go see, one of which is Morgan Wallen. Um, Chris Brown, which is totally different, and then Big Time Rush, which is totally different. So I would say Chris Brown was really cool because I went with my brother and he was really adamant on being close. Like he was like, I'm not going if we're not close. So we were super close. So it was cool because Chris Brown is a dancer and so it was just like cool to see like him literally up close. But vibes wise, actually, Big Time Rush was so cool. I went with some friends of mine that I had just made at the time. And I don't know what it was, but it was like so like energetic and fun. I don't know if it was like feeling like a kid again because they like had reunited and they hadn't been a band since I was younger. Like I don't know, but it was so fun. It was at the amphitheater in Tampa and it was really hot, but it was really fun. So I would say all around probably that one just because of the vibes.
Have we talked about Big Time Rush before?
I don't think so, but I also saw
Okay,
your Instagram.
yeah, they're literally my favorite band of all time. Like some
Yeah.
people like the Jonas Brothers, some people like Backstreet Boys. Big Time Rush is mine. I literally wrote a book about them. Like I wrote
Really?
a young adult fiction novel based off of Big Time Rush, and I literally gave it to Kendall, and I was like, "Here's a book I wrote about you. Like, congratulations!" And he was like, "What the fuck? You wrote an entire book?" I was like,
That's
"Yeah,
so
here
funny.
you go if you want to
I
read
used to
it."
be I used to be obsessed with Austin Mahone for like my entire childhood and I did the same thing. I wrote one about him and it got like all these views back in the day and I was like, yeah.
Oh
He's
yes,
gonna
yeah. Like I
next
wrote it
up.
in when he was back with his band Heffron Drive. So that's when I
Mhm.
gave it to him. And I we'd be like waiting in the meet and greet line and like I was like holding the book and everyone around me was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, this is a book I basically wrote about Big Time Rush." And they would like read the back cover and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna read this." So like that book has the most sales. Like I've wrote five books and that was my first one, but that one has like the most sales because all the Big Time Rush girls like read it.
That's so
And
cool though. It's like funny, but it's cool.
yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I've seen them probably not as many times as other people, but maybe like 20 times, and I've met them maybe like 10, 11. Kendall I've met more than the others because he was doing other stuff and he's my favorite.
I can
But
tell.
yeah, I'm seeing them again this summer in Philly when they come, so I'm excited about that.
Me
Yeah.
too. But it's in July and Florida in July is like
So hot.
you're like in an oven. So I may die that time, but
Is it an indoor or outdoor theater?
it's outdoor, and I
Oh
literally just found
man.
out that so it's the amphitheater, which is usually covered. It's like an awning sort of thing. I just found out via TikTok that they never fixed it from the hurricane. So it's basically just no, there's just nothing there. So it's just
Oh
outdoor, nothing, no fans. Yeah. So I I'm looking forward to it, but I kind of am terrified of that. So
oh
we'll
wow.
find out.
Oh geez. Well, you'll have to let me know how it goes. My concert is August 2nd. So,
Yeah, mine's like July 13th, I think,
okay.
somewhere around there. Yeah,
This is gonna be fun. Are you meeting them or you're just doing the show?
just the show.
Okay. Yeah. Their show is always like super fun because they still dance and they're like they're my age. They're in their mid 30s and I'm like, yeah, you can still dance except Logan he cannot, which is so entertaining to watch.
Like there's always one.
I love it. All right. So the last thing I want to ask is if you have any advice to anyone that is struggling.
Oh man, plenty of advice. I would say it's easier said than done to reach out and ask for help. So that's what everyone always usually says. But I feel like when you're really going through something, especially suicidal thoughts, that's like the worst place that you can be mentally. And so I think if you get to something that's very severe, you're going to want to isolate or you're going to feel isolated. You're going to feel like no one understands you. And so my advice and something that I found over the course of the past 10 years since I felt that way is being yourself is the best thing that you can do because people, unfortunately, are going to make fun of you. They're going to talk about you. They're not going to like you for no good reason. All those things are going to happen, and it sucks. But as long as you are who you are, and you'll attract people that appreciate who you are, and it might take some time, but you will. And being happy with who you are and the dreams that you're accomplishing, like that's everything that I went through is what led me to where I am today. And there's still times when I feel alone. There's still times I feel like no one likes me, no one wants me around. But I know that in my heart, I'm proud of who I am and the things that I've achieved and school and education and being in this field. So just finding things that you like to do and maybe you'll meet people that way too. But if you feel alone, um, using that time to the best, of course, of your ability to reflect on yourself and focus on you, whatever that looks like. So it could be working out, it could be journaling, it could be finding a new hobby, um, really anything. But if you're alone, making the most of being alone, I guess, instead of, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to reach out. Sometimes it's hard to get help or you don't have access to it or something like that. So,
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Okay. Well, awesome. This was so great to talk to you. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Of course, anytime. And I hope I see you again soon. I am coming to Tampa in October, so maybe I'll see you
Yes,
then.
I'll be here. Let me know.
Yay. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Our website is holdontildawn.com and our email is holdontildawn@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at holdontildawn and on Facebook at Hold On Till Dawn Benefit Concert. See you next time.